Hi, Adnan. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Shilpa. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on the 6 cases that you closed last year. Looking back at the cases that you closed in 2025, what were the clients really responding to when choosing the universal life solution? Did you notice any clear shifts? Like, were they thinking clearly, or is it the Dubai market that changed their overall perspective?
The markets are ever evolving, and as and when a need arises, you have to be there in front of the client talking about what value we can bring. So ultimately, it comes down to whether this value makes sense to them or not. For example, there were a few clients who were on the fence. They were like, I'm not really sure why insurance is needed or anything like that. But I believe that a lot of what transpired during COVID and after, where all of a sudden it became transparent of the number of people in their immediate circles, in their second tier of circles, who had passed away without leaving anything behind for their next of kin, and the businesses were in dispute. This became a need of the hour kind of thing in their minds, where they were like, okay, I need to be more serious about this and have this conversation. And because, okay, Adnan was there, he had mentioned this, we had conversations about this, and it was more casual at that point where we were just discussing an idea. It all of a sudden became a reality that they needed to explore more seriously. They came in, and there was a lot of deep, heavy handed, serious conversations. Sometimes the conversations are not easy because ultimately we are discussing an impending doom scenario for the family. So even though it's heavy, it needs to be done, and it's a must. And every time I tell the clients that every time you keep putting it off, eventually you're going to end up paying a higher premium for the same amount of cover because you know the cover is needed. It is something that needs to be offsetted from your businesses or from your income on whatever levels that you're drawing as high value salary or anything like that.
I mean, you touched the chord with them, right? Um, but with high net worth clients, what usually triggers a solution or a serious conversation that moves forward rather than a casual discussion, right? This requires a little more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would say it's 2 points. One would be a need where all of a sudden they're thinking about it, the mortality here, we call it, where some people experience it at 35, some people experience it at 60. But when it hits, they're like, okay, I need to start planning something very seriously about leaving behind enough assets so my next of kin are well taken care of without having to fend for themselves, at least financially. And the second would be a hard hitting wake up call. Someone passing away. In some scenarios, it could be a parent, it could be a close friend. And these kind of things make them start asking the question that, have I done enough? Have I put aside enough? My business is rolling in money. Uh, my assets, my properties, all of it is rolling in money. But is this enough, or do I need to make sure it is well safeguarded, well taken care of, and enough liquidity is available? So, yeah, these 2 points I would say.
So when you have this conversation, you've kind of reached a level of trust with them, right? And that clearly isn't assumed. What do you feel the focus is when you have to earn their confidence or keep that conversation moving?
At the core, I believe it's more like you have the client's best interest at heart. And if you show them that, instead of trying to push what we call as a pushing a sale or just, oh, just take care of the paperwork, everything. I don't need to explain anything. No, sit down, have the hard conversations, tell them that this is the returns, this is the risk. If you stop paying premiums into your policy, your sustainability value can take a hit, things like that. And even though they don't like to hear it or it's not something which is conducive for a sales pitch, it is these hard conversations where, okay, at least if they don't sign up today, they will sign up later because you have given them the facts. And if you're clear, you're transparent, you're open with them, pros and cons, I believe slowly and eventually they realize that, okay, this person has my best interest. He's not telling me to sign today, or how in the real estate space they say that, oh, the unit's there today, I'll go tomorrow. No. Like I said, if you're gonna sign up after a couple of years, you'll end up paying a higher premium for the same amount of cover. But ultimately, the cover is required. You will need to do your research. And come on, in today in ChatGPT's era, there's nothing that can be hidden. So you might as well just be upfront, be honest, be truthful, and just tell them any and all questions you have. I'm here to answer you, guide you through the complete process, and even after. I'm not here to just take care of you today. I'm here to take care of you for the next 10, 20, 30 years, and even your next of kin after that. So that gives them a level of confidence and trust where they're like, oh, this guy's here to stay. He has my best interests in that, and I'd like to go ahead with him.
Yeah. So it's basically putting for the worst case scenario. I think that's what is the question that they.
It's not worst case scenario, not doomsday, but more like, here are the pros, here are the cons. We evaluate, we balance it out. If this works for you, let's go ahead. If not, let's explore more solutions. It's not just trying to push one thing, but come to a middle ground where they like what they hear and they're like, okay, despite knowing whatever the charges are, whatever everything is, I'd like to go ahead with it. So it makes more sense for them.
From all the cases that you've done, was there one challenge that actually stood out, something that resonates or could be helpful for people who are going to propose these solutions?
I should say that I'm blessed that the cases that did come in were conversations that were happening for years, and they came in quite smoothly. So my message would be that at this point, we have approached at least 9 insurers, and we are not getting a positive response from anyone. And the high value of the segment aside, we are not getting responses from local insurers, which is worrisome. It kills me that I have to say no to the client and say that unfortunately we are not able to give you any sort of cover, which is very disheartening of a conversation to have, but still exploring options. So my advice would be that if you're in good health and you have any sort of asset that you need to make sure that there's liquidity aside to offset it, please consider this today and get the conversation started at least while you're in good health. Hopefully, you don't have any pre-existing conditions, nothing. We can get you much better rates because everyone wants a discount, but not getting anything at all, no matter what the price you pay, is a pinch that I hope no one has to feel.
Yes, the ULI solution offers the best risk class in case you're in good health, right?
Correct.
So that itself is a discounted premium. And cases like you mentioned has a health challenge, you know that you can go and propose it to the siblings, to their family members, knowing that, okay, now we cannot offer him, but please insure your spouse, insure your kids. That's connected.
And at that point of time, that is something worthy of considering where they say, okay, an X amount is needed, but let's add X and Y in order to make sure that the net worth is at least covered. But deep down inside, the client still feels that, man, I'm not able to get in. What is it my fault I got this health condition? So it's the emotional justification that they're not able to come to terms with themselves. But ultimately, if I say something like, oh, why didn't you take this 5 years ago? They're like, where were you 5 years ago? So this is me here today telling you, start the conversation.
I think this is also something that you've already discussed, a case that didn't go as expected. But again, what did it teach you? How do you maneuver with that same client? Is there a solution like, okay, set aside something as an investment, right? Is that something that you would go ahead and tell them? Because we have other lines of business as well.
Of course. So at that point of time, it becomes the conversation on what asset class they can put their designated amount. Like, okay, you had a fixed amount that you wanted to consider to put into a high value life insurance case. What other asset class makes the most sense where he's like, I'm just had a full checkup. My treatment is going. So I know I'm going to live for another 30 years. All right. So 30 years is the timeline. Start putting aside a certain amount every year to make sure that it's either in real estate, either in gold, fixed deposit, investment account with a fixed coupon or guaranteed index fund, or it could be annuity plan, which gives amazing results long term, which is all in our portfolio of things that we can manage and handle for you. So that at least we can offset some of your risk profile, if not all of it. So, yeah, that would definitely make more sense.
Cool. Uh, to conclude, I just wanted to ask you for our advisors who are not yet in the HNI space, right? What is that one habit or one thinking that you would have changed that helped you leap towards this life?
I would say ask the tough conversations. Don't assume whether the client will go for it or won't go for it. That's not for you to decide. Just start the conversation. Uh, I know for a fact that many advisors are very hesitant and they're happy. They know if I broach this, then they won't do any other sort of visit. No, what have we got to lose? Ask the client. You ask, you get. You don't ask, you don't get. And that in itself is that, hey, we've known each other for a while. We've done business together on different lines. Is this something that we can have a conversation about? Just start the conversation, talk to them. Let them talk to you. Let them tell you what their worries are, what keeps them up at night. Not just something that fixes something with one motor policy or maybe a medical policy or something like that. Have the difficult conversation on what is your bother? What do you think is going to happen to your business if you will know more? These are difficult conversations. People don't feel open to it that much, but it needs to be had. And who else will have it with other than your financial advisor, who can at least give you the financial outflow on how things would look like as a worst case scenario to what we can do to make sure that it's safeguarded and it helps them sleep at night. I've had clients come and tell me that, Ananda, you have no idea how much this was bothering me. And I'm so glad that you came and did this. It's pinching me that I need to remove this amount every year, but I know I have to do it. And this is helping me sleep better at night, which in turn makes their business productivity even better because now they're not getting restless sleep. So I think it's a win win.
Yes. So peace of mind.
Peace of mind. Ask the tough questions, ask the right tough questions, and get the conversation going. Simple as that.
Yeah, now you did a case where there were three family members that yes insured, right? Do you want to touch upon that? Talk about it a little more.
Yes. So this is a family that I've known for quite a few years now. And I, like I said, I was very apprehensive to approach her. I had their factories group medical with me, and it was always something like, I'm not sure if they would be interested. But when their father had an event, health event, 2 years back, they called me and they asked me if I could come down and discuss something important. So I thought it must be something related to the medical. I was like, okay, let's go, let's talk. It hit me like a gut punch when they were like, you do insurance, why have you never given us any options for life insurance? And I was like, okay. So this is something that I was literally leaving on the table because I did not think that, okay, if I don't bring it up, maybe I won't lose my other line of business. But it's something that became very essential. An event occurred because of which this conversation started. And they were basically like, we are in the peak of our health. We're still young. We still have very young children. And I believe that if we get something sorted out now, it it should not bother us in the future, and it'll just compound and grow. And we have said we won't have to worry about this at that age that our father had the event at. So that conversation led to just some very horizon broadening perspectives in what can be approached or cannot be approached, and how we can navigate this and make sure that we place something now for early 20s and early 30-year-olds in place, which they don't have to worry about it in their 50s or 60s at all.
Yes. So the premiums are low. You insured them for a good amount. Yes. And they covered for life.
Correct.
And there was a case where we could not insure the husband, right? Yes. And we went ahead and did for the spouse. Yes. So how did that conversation go?
That conversation was a little bit more difficult because the husband is the breadwinner and the spouse is a homemaker. And they're like, how does the increase in net worth or cover value help in the case of the... I was like, it's very simple that if something were to happen to the spouse, the next of kin would still get the net worth in cover of whatever assets that the husband holds. So it is, in a way, taking the future value and making sure that it's put aside, even though the husband was uninsurable. Right? It made more sense to at least have one spouse covered with at least the same amount of cover or more for the husband and the wife, because it comes back into the business. So that value is not lost just because the husband was not able to get cover. We were able to assign it to the wife.
So what happens usually is that they think if a person is a homemaker, there are costs associated even with a homemaker, right?
Absolutely.
Kids need to be taken care of. There's house that needs to be looked after. So those costs get added when that homemaker is not around. And of course, having such a cover in place offsets that worry and gives you that peace of mind that, yes, this is in place now and it's taken care of.
Like I say to my clients, the emotional void can never be filled. But at least financially, you know that, okay, I've done justice, I've taken care of the costs. That emotional replacement of a person is never something that you can put true value to. But at least financially, that can be taken care of, especially in the case of homemakers, because honestly, they're the real superheroes here who make everything go around. Because if you don't have a peaceful home to come back to, well taken care of by the homemaker, your whole world is in chaos. Nothing else will matter.
Can't agree more.
Indeed.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.